counts. They know the game. They chose the outcome. Names on the wire. No one arrested. Names on the wire. The jury rested. Names on the wire. The whole thing tested. Names on the wire. Oh, oh, oh. The system protected. Oh. Eight years and 2 inquiries. The same report, the same disease. A fraction charged, a fraction tried. The rest still living 45. Each headline fades in 40 days. The public moves, the money stays. Second leak comes out in spring. The government says investigating. The names don't change. The dates just shift. The weight stays on the bottom half. The weight stays on the bottom half. Names on the wire. No one arrested. Names on the wire. The jury rested. Names on the wire. The whole thing tested. Names on the wire. Oh, oh, oh. The system protected. Oh. The file is sealed. The wire is live. 12 miles of ocean between the money and the law. A registered address, a name you never saw. Tax treaty signed in 1984. The island asked for nothing, ain't got 40 billion more. The lawyers wrote the language, the legislature signed. A 3-page document created what 100 years refined. The map was drawn to hide it. The map was drawn to hide it. The route runs through the island. The route runs through the island. The map was drawn to hide it. No accident. Designed it. Another treaty ratified. Another corridor inside. Another 0 on the page. Another generation cage. They call it competition. They call it sovereign right. But competition means the bottom falls a little more each night. Not random written. Not chaos planned. Not discovered, built by someone's hand. The map was drawn to hide it. The map was drawn to hide it. The route runs through the island. The route runs through the island. The map was drawn to hide it. No accident. Designed it. International agreement, international agreement, every exception, a monument. The G20 meets in autumn, coordinate Fiscal discipline for you, created structure for them. The rules apply at street level, not at the upper stem. They call it shared sacrifice, they mean you share alone. The rescue runs in one direction, the austerity comes home. Not a cut, a transfer, not a fix, a heist, not a choice, a pattern, running like a vice. Austerity, 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 austerity. For the ones who didn't crash it, they crashed it, you paid it. Tuesday morning, no options in the code. The software takes its percentage before the money hits the road. He calls a meeting Thursday, discusses allocation. 3 attorneys in the room to structure the formation. Same income, different system. Same output, different ceiling. One clock runs automatic, one clock runs on choice. One system takes before you see it, one system finds its voice. 2 clocks, 2 different countries, living on the same block. One ticks loud in your pocket, one ticks soft on the clock. Not by accident of class. The code allows 1,000 deductions for what never had to pass. The payroll tax it first and hardest. The capital floats free. The deduction list was written by the ones who get the fee. Same income, different system. Same output, different ceiling. One clock runs automatic, one clock runs on choice. One system takes before you see it, one system finds its voice. 2 clocks, 2 different countries, living on the same block. One ticks loud in your pocket, one ticks soft on the clock. The gap was engineered, not inherited. Supporters lined up. By March the committee tabled it. By June the sponsors gave up. A 1-point tax on fortunes above $1 billion clear. The same proposal killed 7 times in 7 different years. Not economics, politics, not data power, not debate, barrier. Every single hour. Well, tax graveyard. Proposal number 3. Well, tax graveyard. Died in committee. Well, tax graveyard. The table never said. Well, tax graveyard. Same result as yet. hits the account. Before the transfer settles, they already took their amount. No forms to fill, no options chosen. You see the net, not the gross. The source is always frozen. Automatic deduction, automatic extraction, no meeting, no decision. Automatic subtraction. Two different clocks. One ticks without permission. Two different clocks. Two different clocks. One runs on your commission. Two different clocks. One asks, one just takes it. Two different clocks. One bends, one breaks it. He moves the income sideways, capital gain, not wage. A different column, different rate, a different numbered page. The accountant runs the structure, the deduction list is long. The payroll worker runs the standard, the deduction list is gone. This was the design, this was the intent. The code was written this way, not accidental spin. Automatic deduction, automatic extraction, no meeting, no decision. Automatic subtraction. Two different clocks. One ticks without permission. Two different clocks. Two different clocks. One runs on your commission. Two different clocks. One asks, one just takes it. Two different clocks. One bends, one breaks it. Two systems, one city. What is yours? The trust was established at birth. Before the name was chosen, the capital was already moving. Before the first word spoken, a foundation in one country, a holding in the next. The inheritance arrives untaxed, while the rhetoric says progress. He talks about the grind, he talks about the climb, he talks about the early morning and the sacrifice of time. He never lists the starting line, he never names the base. The seven-figure cushion he inherited with grace. The story edits out the first chapter, the story edits out the ladder. Self-made, but what was the scaffold? Self-made, but who paid the mortar? First initially, the phrase rings out clean, but the trust predates the effort, and the trust predates the dream. Dynasty code, the story starts in the middle. Dynasty code, the first chapter's missing. Dynasty code, the capital was seated. Dynasty code, the myth of self completed. The ladder was already there, you just don't see it in the photo. The agreement was signed. The exceptions list was longer than the agreement. 15% the floor, set by 37 nations. 6 months later, 17 passed the new exemptions. Carve out for the tech sector, carve out for the funds. By the time the ink was dry, the floor was barely won.
The treaty was the headline, the exception was the bill. The treaty was announced, the exception did the will.
Minimum override, minimum override. The rule is in the title, the rule was hollowed inside. Minimum override, the agreement ran its cycle right back to the opening tide. Every word in the final text was lobbied before it was said. Every clause that protects the minimum has a footnote you haven't met. The G-Summit issues a statement. Technical working groups convene. By Q3, the implementation runs through jurisdictions unseen. A 15% floor on paper, a 9% weight in fact. The math is in the addendum that nobody tracked.
The treaty was the headline, the exception was the bill. The treaty was announced, the exception did the will.
Minimum override, minimum override. The rule is in the title, the rule was hollowed inside. Minimum override, the agreement ran its cycle right back to the opening side.
15 on paper, something else in practice.
lives in 6 time zones simultaneously, registered in 3 countries, taxed and uneffectively. The apartment exists on paper, the yacht exists in law, the income declared nowhere that an audit ever saw. The labor plants its roots, the labor pays its share, the capital grows wings, the capital goes anywhere. Not avoidance architecture, not luck precision, not discovery design, not flight decision. Yeah. Cash flows east, labor stays west, capital moves, labor gets compressed. The mobile beats the stationary every time. The mobile beats the stationary every time. Crash dividend, the wealth move first. Crash dividend,
rest rehearsed.
A structural asymmetry built into the global frame. The one who can relocate their income never plays the same game. The one whose income is their body, the one whose wage is fixed in place, the one who cannot move the number, pays the full rate, face to face. Fixed in place, pays the rate. Mobile negotiates. Fixed in place, pays the rate. Mobile navigates. Cash flows east, labor stays west. Capital moves, labor gets compressed. The mobile beats the stationary every time. The mobile beats the stationary every time. Crash dividend. The wealth moved first. Crash dividend. The rest rehearsed. The asymmetry is the system, not the flaw of it. Innovation, call it disruption, call it the future, call it extraction. Orbit with your money, orbit with your money. The launch pad was public funded. Orbit with your money. You didn't pay the schooling, you didn't pay the roads. Orbit with your money while the bottom holds the load. Subsidy runs quietly in the 10K notes on page 4. A federal contract, a launch facility, a research grant from before. The vision sounds like freedom, the structure reads like capture. The press release says frontier, the footnote reads recapture.
legislative floor. The return came back as 40 billion in the tax code's open door. That's not a contribution, that's a purchase. That's not a relationship, that's a ledger. Every senator who touched the bill got a number and a header. Democracy runs on the dollar. Democracy runs on the dollar. The price is in the filing. The price is in the roster. Lobby row high. 2,000% return. Lobby row high. Democracy for rent. Lobby row high. The math is in the record. Lobby row high. The law runs at the highest bidder. The bill went into committee with 12 provisions intact. It came out with one surviving and the sunset clause attached. The sunset clause expires in 7 before the public heard the name. The lobby had the next bill ready before the first one came. The investment thesis is simple. Spend 1 to save 1,000. The rate of return on legislative access is the highest in the market. Lobby row high. 2,000% return. Lobby row high. Democracy for rent. Lobby row high. The math is in the record. Lobby row high. The law runs at the highest bidder. Is public. The math is undeniable.